What's up YouTube? So I was riding my bike the other day and I thought it would be pretty cool to attach a camera to this and get some footage of some of my favorite places around Adelaide, whether it's a beach or it's within the hills. And I started looking at options. I was thinking, do I get a action camera? And if I do, what one do I get? So I looked at the DJI, I think it's a DJI Action 4, the GoPro Hero 12, and the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So I started watching YouTube videos and the comparisons between the three. I couldn't tell you right now what the specs were because I've forgotten, but I decided against getting one of those for various reasons. One, the cost. I think on average for one of those, it's between $500 and $1,000 Australian, which I thought to myself, yeah, it's not that much considering comparing it to a camera body or a lens, but I was thinking, will I use this regularly? Will I be able to justify the purchase? Because I've made changes in how I approach the YouTube channel and how I approach business. I've checked off a majority of my list of the things I need, not the list of the things I want because I think that would be never ending, but I need to make this more sustainable. But more than anything, I need to start changing my mindset that it isn't the next thing, the next best thing. It's about enjoying what you have. And as I age and now I'm in my mid-30s, I want to make the most of what I have because it's so easy to get stuck into that pattern, into that mindset that you're not going to be happy until, you won't be content until. And it's easy for most of us, if not all of us, to fall into that trap, but it's good when you recognize it. It's good when you're able to step back and go, you know what, I'm going to make some changes. So I decided against getting one or any of those cameras. May look to get one in the future, but I have amazing camera equipment. I have the FX30 for my YouTube and long form video formats. I have my ZV-E1 for vlogging or low light video, very light setup. I have my A7CR and my 200 to 600mm lens for great wildlife photo video. And I've got a selection of lenses and audio now. Do I really need any more? So how can I make this happen? How can I attach my camera that I currently have to my bike where it doesn't fall off and where I feel like the item that I get to use as an attachment is quality? So I went on Amazon and I picked up a SmallRig crab-shaped super clamp with ball head magic arm. Why they call it that, I don't know, but I guess it's a good description of what it is. I'm not going to unbox it because I already unboxed it. When you get a SmallRig item, it's usually just the item in a box. So if you wanted an unboxing, sorry about it. I've already put it on my camera because I wanted to see what it felt like, how heavy approximately it would be, and if it felt stable and sturdy enough to risk putting my pride and joy, my ZV-E1 on my bike. So here's what I prepared earlier. So this is it. It is made out of metal. It feels quality, like what you can expect from SmallRig. They make quality items. So this setup is my Sony ZV-E1, my Sony 24mm 2.8 G, a Hoya ND filter on the end there. And this setup is approximately between probably 550 grams to 700 grams. So not as light as one of those little action cameras would be, but it's a full frame sensor. It's an amazing camera. And there are reasons why I wanted to test this camera in particular for something like that. It's got the dynamic active steady shot within, it's got amazing autofocus, it's got a great internal mic, but there are things that people say all over YouTube as why they would not pick this camera up and why they would be worried about shooting long form video on this camera, and that is because it is so small, so light. I want to test how the dynamic active steady shot works. I want to test whether the camera will overheat on me. So that's what I was alluding to before. If you look up the Sony ZV-E1 or if you're in the market for a vlogging camera, majority of the videos that you come across on YouTube are overheating. Does it overheat? Blah, blah, blah. It's just overheating issues. But this camera to this day has not overheated once on me. I've taken it to Bali, which if you've been there, you know it's humid, you know it's hot, you know most of the time you're in direct sunlight. I didn't go during the hottest part of the year there, and I haven't been able to use that camera during summer or spring, so I haven't really been able to test it in those scenarios. But The times I have tested it and shot sometimes even as long as 5 minutes, I've not had any warnings. When I was in Bali, it did have that hot to the touch feeling because it was a hot day, but also it is capable of overheating. But like I said, I haven't had it overheat on me. So majority of the times I'm shooting in 25p, sometimes in 50p, and very rarely in 100p. Now that's a PAL format for frames per second. In America, if you're watching, it'd be 24, 60, 120, and 30 as well in there. But I think a majority of people who vlog, like myself, you're going to be shooting in 25p if you're in Australia, 24p if you're in America. So the likelihood of it overheating would be very slim. But I did get the FX30 because I didn't want to have that happen to me, especially during a YouTube video, during a warm day, or during a wedding ceremony. So that is one of the important things I want to test. Obviously the dynamic steady shot. Will I get usable footage from this ride? And how will the sound be with the dead cat on blocking the wind? So I'm going to attach it to my bike and I'll show you some B-roll of what it looks like on my bike and how it's set up, and then I'll go for the ride and then I'll return here and I'll let you know what I found after looking at the footage. So let's get on the bike, let's set it up, we'll head out, and I'll see you back in the studio to tell you what I found and if it is something you should do or consider. I'll see you soon. Look at that 24mm G lens. That's the bike, the Marin Kentfield 2. Sony ZV-E1. Look at this little troll here. This 24mm is a good lens. So I used warp stabilizer on this footage and you can see the jitters. Definitely not a fan of warp stabilizer. I think it's pronounced Marin. I've put this clamp on quite tight. I've tightened it from the base and the middle clamp. So I really hope it stays on. I've got the camera strap on, so I'm going to hold on to that as I ride. Apparently Marin's made for fun. And if it were to fall, it's going to fall into my hands hopefully, because I'll be still gripping that camera strap. But like I said, I've put it on really tight, feels solid. SmallRig is quality, so we'll see how we go. So, back, I reviewed the footage, and I can say that it was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it, but it didn't work out as well as I would like it to have. The dynamic steady shot within the camera was still jerky, it was still shaky, but the track that I used was not flat. It was bumpy, it was on gravel, it was on dirt, it was always changing surface. So could I really expect it to be very stable footage? I haven't tried one of those action cameras, so I don't know if even that would remove all those jitters, because the entire time on my handlebars, it's jiggling like this. So I did consider putting it on my helmet, but then I thought maybe not, because this would, one, damage my helmet, and two, there's so much more of a risk of it falling off, and third, there'll be a risk of people worrying about me recording them. That was one of the concerns I had when I attached this to my bike and headed out. I was like, will people go, are you recording me? No one did that, no one cared. That's one of those things I just want to tell you. If you're out shooting, unless you're pointing the camera directly at someone, they don't care. They just want to get out of your way and not be in your footage. So they just keep on with their day, as you should too. So no one complained. No one was worrying the way I was filming them. So that was good. But if I put on my helmet, it might be a different story. It's not very discreet. And this is I think I should have weighed it. I still haven't, but I think it's about 600 grams. So putting it on my head would have been more stable, but me moving my head around, it probably would have fell off. So I held on to this strap while I was riding, just in case it did come loose. But good news is this didn't come loose once. I checked it a couple times on my ride, but once I had tightened it on, nothing came loose. So SmallRig, good job. It's a very well made clamp, and it's probably designed for things like that, attaching it to a motorbike. Probably just not with this camera. The audio sounded fine despite being very windy. It was quite a windy day, and the dead cat did well to remove the wind noise, so that's good. The ND filter was a great use, because there were times where it was really sunny, there were times it was really shady, so I kind of had to adjust that on the fly. I didn't put in auto ISO. I just wanted to keep it in a basic, I think it was a 640 ISO, lowest, first base dual native ISO, I think is 640. And other than that, the autofocus potentially won't be wise to use in a situation like this. If you were to use this camera and try it out, I recommend probably putting in manual focus, because I noticed that it was hunting, and I'll probably bump the aperture, or close it down, I should say, to about 5.6 or 8, because I think that it being at 2.8 and it being on autofocus, it was hunting and it was losing focus on important things, and I just wanted to get more of the scenery. So I didn't think of that, but it is what it is. But the last thing and the most important thing, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to test this on a long ride, which was about 50 minutes. So I recorded this ride for the entire time, didn't press stop on the recording once, didn't turn my camera off. So it did not overheat once. Now today the weather was about 17 degrees Celsius and it was relatively windy. So it's not a very warm day. There were patches of sun, so this camera was in direct sunlight at times, but for the entire 15 minutes, not once did I get an overheating warning that I noticed, because I couldn't really watch the screen the entire time, being that I was riding a bike. But good news, guys, it doesn't overheat if it is reasonable weather and if you're putting it on a bike. Probably helped that the wind was blowing back, probably cooling it down. So for those who are concerned about your ZV-E1 overheating, it's not going to, unless you put it into scenarios where you could expect most cameras to overheat. So that was a very good test, and I'm reassured that when I'm shooting during nice weather, say 17 to 21, that I can comfortably record for at least 30 minutes in 25p. So throughout that footage that you just watched, you noticed the settings I used, the gear that I used, but again, it was probably not the type of footage I would have liked to have got for this video. So I sped some of it up during the edit, just because I don't think many of you would want to watch jittery footage the entire 50 minutes. And I definitely cut some of that out, so it kept it a relatively short video. But you get an idea of the path that I chose to use. if you do live in Adelaide Hills and you have a bike or you want to go walking on a nice sunny day, I recommend the path that I use, which is between the Little Hampton train tunnels and Larratinga wetlands. And what I'm going to do after this video in the next week or so, I'm going to head out there and get some video without my bike of those locations, including the Mount Barker summit, just to show you some amazing spots around Mount Barker, which is my favorite country, city, town, whatever you want to call it, in South Australia, probably Australia at this point in time. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, the footage probably was unwatchable to some of you, but I think it was an important test. Does that make me want to get a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or DJI Osmo Action 4? Yes, it does. But at the same time, will I do this test often? The next time I'll try is when I head down the beach and I do my ride between Grange and Seacliff and back. And that's a concrete esplanade, so it's a track that's flat. So I think the footage will be stable just because of the track that I use. So I'll test it in that regard before I even consider adding the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 or DJI Action 4 to my wish list. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the videos I've been doing so far. As I evolve with this, it's becoming less about the likes, less about the comments and subscribers, because I finally started enjoying photography and videography again, which is the most important thing to me. Is I feel my best when I'm creating. So if I'm getting out there and creating and I'm able to enjoy the equipment I currently have, live in the present, that is a huge win. So the likes, the comments, the subscribers become second to that. Not that they're not important. So please, if you are watching this, please give it a like. Please give me a subscription and leave a comment down below, because what it does do is it helps the videos get out there for more people. And if anything that this channel can do is encourage you to be yourself, even if you're not very good at this, which I am not. I'm not very good at these YouTube videos. I'm not very good at talking at a camera. I get self-conscious, but if it encourages anyone to just do it anyway, despite the fear, then that's amazing. If it encourages people to get out and use their equipment and make the most of it and enjoy it, then my job is done. All I want to do is promote this kind of thing of the love of camera gear, the love of getting out and shooting, but being yourself, not putting on a facade, not putting on an act, just being yourself. And I thank you if you have subscribed. I thank you if you've left comments, and I thank you if you've liked my videos, because it is really encouraging, because we do still live as humans for validation. So thank you. Hope you tune into the next one. In the meantime, I am the Shy Camera Guy, and I just want to encourage you, get out and shoot. Even if you feel like you're not that good, the more you do it, the better you'll get. See you in the next video, guys.